So what is the #1 skill to offer on Upwork? And as a matter of fact, what is the best niche? What is the best country? Who's making the most money? And a few other statistics. We're gonna cover all of that in today's video. Now, I've put together a comprehensive list of the top 10,000 Upwork freelancers right now in 2026. And nobody else has access to this data. And I have to thank Upwork MRR for allowing me to scrape this off their website, which I didn't ask them, but they said whatever. But anyway, we're gonna go super in depth into what's actually happening on the platform, how much money people are making, the total numbers, how much money is in every single niche and skill. And to be honest, this might be a super powerful video if you're serious about making money on Upwork, because you're gonna know exactly what's happening. And if you don't already know, my name is Ryan. All we talk about on this YouTube channel is Upwork, landing big ass clients on Upwork, and I myself am ranked #1 in the UK for automation and #1 in the world for NAN on Upwork. And yeah, let's jump in. So if we wanna look at all of this data, we have to have it compiled somewhere. And I've put together a beautiful Google Sheet that you can look at. You can use Google Gemini to query it. And I've put the link for this in the description below. It's completely free. You don't have to ask me for it. Just go ahead and make a copy and play around with it to your heart's content. And I've already done a bunch of research and a bunch of tests with this. I've got Western countries only, freelancing data, UK and US only, a statistics summary. And the best way to use this sheet, if you haven't already, is obviously make a copy and go to the far right where you have Gemini, if you do have Gemini, and just ask it questions about the sheet, and it'll actually give you really valuable insights. You can obviously go in here and say, who's making the most money in India? Or who's making the most money in, Denmark, for example? Or what niche is, or what skill is crushing it in my country, for example? And you can query this information using this Google Sheet. But let's first go over some of the big numbers, the juicy numbers for the video. So like I said, 10,000 freelancers, just a little bit less, 9,997. These are the top people on Upwork right now. The average MRR of these people is 6,746 in the top 10,000. Once you break into the top 100, you're looking at $39,000, which is absolutely insane. And on top of that, you can see that the total lifetime earnings between these people in the top 10,000 is $2,733,609,000. So $2.7 billion has been made between just these 10,000 freelancers alone. And on Upwork, there's over 18 million freelancers, supposedly. Not that I ever see that many people on the platform. So firstly, let's have a look at the country distribution. So of all the different countries, let's distribute them out. So United States obviously has the most freelancers on the platform. That equates to 27% of the actual platform itself. Then you have India, Pakistan, Ukraine obviously because it's full of amazing talent for like web development and technical based skills and so on. Then you have the UK, the Philippines, then the UK, Canada, and so on. And you can see the average lifetime earnings of some of these and the total earnings. So the total earnings of people in India, for example, is over $400 million on the platform, which is crazy to think about. You only need to grab a very, very small amount of that to be extremely successful. And I've actually put together a very cool sheet here, which is the freelancing count by skill category. And this shows basically the divide between the different skills on Upwork based on the amount of freelancers that there are. So as you can see, there is way more people for things like mobile development. There's loads of people in design and creative, and web development is obviously one of the leading options as well. Now, another one that's really interesting to me here is the average monthly recurring revenue by skill and category. And what's interesting is they're all kind of making the same. Like, there's not really like a main standout when it comes to who's making the most money MRR wise across the different skills. All of them are, kind of good. Like for example, in AI and machine learning, the average MRR is 7,248. In accounting, it's 6,314. In automation, it's 6,345, and so on and so on. I'd say one of the main standouts is obviously data science, which is 7,237, and so on. What you can also do on this sheet, and let's actually go through some of these statistics, is let's look at the full freelancing data, which is basically all of the data of those people. And if we just take into account the entire sheet and the MRR that's in there, there's $55 million a month between the top people in the top 10,000. And actually, if you go down the rabbit hole on this sheet, you'll realize that over 50% of it is in those technical fields like AI automation, web development, UI design, kind of data science, all of these different things, cybersecurity and so on. All of those technical based fields are kind of eating up over $25 million of that monthly MRR on Upwork. And look, there's no real kind of structure to this video. I'm just kind of going through the things that I find interesting. One other thing that I find interesting in here is the MRR trend trend. So this shows who's actually scaling the hardest, right? And look, if we look for me on here, I am actually one of the fastest growing freelancers on the platform with 228%, which is pretty crazy. And I think right now well, on this sheet, I'm actually ranked now like number 70 because I haven't updated this sheet, but it's at the time I was 121 in the world on Upwork. But still super cool. But I don't know about you, but doesn't this like break a lot of limiting beliefs that you might have had around Upwork? Like so many people think that Upwork is full of low paying clients, where the average job on Upwork in the top 10,000 is $20,000. And even some of these, like let's say third world countries, whatever that means, you got places like India, Pakistan, Nigeria, making average $6,000, $7,000 a month, right? And not that far off from the US, which is pretty impressive. Like every single time I look at this sheet and then I start querying the sheet in Gemini, it always blows my mind as to what's possible. And by the way, if you want to get like more up-to-date actual statistics on this, you can go to upworkmrr.com and you can actually start looking at individual people's profiles as well and seeing what they're doing. Like for example, this is my profile. And one thing I'd like to say as well that's super crazy about this website is that when it says MRR, this is the minimum that people are making on the platform. Like for example, if I go to my Upwork profile right now, and then we head over to transactions, and then we look at how much I actually made last month, for example, like let's say last month, I made $55,000 last month from Upwork, but my profile says 28, right? So this is the minimum that is being made because this number is based on withdrawn amounts of money, not projects that are already, you know, that need to be finished, for example. Like on my profile, I still have like $80,000 of one project that I'm closing out that's total 160K. If it was to factor in those, I'd probably be number one on Upwork, but it doesn't. So you can also see average project and things like that. But whenever I look at this, I always think this is the lowest that somebody is making, right? And it's pretty crazy to see that there's some people even in like India, for example, making $160,000 a month. And I actually know the guy that made this website and I asked him, what do you think the real numbers are on here? And he said that it's pretty much guaranteed that these numbers are about 1.5 to 2x the amount. And you should check this guy out, by the way, if you don't already know his name. His name's Ivan. Very successful guy, has a super cool software as well for Upwork. But in general, I love Upwork MRR. I think it's super cool. And again, I scraped all this data so that you don't have to, but you can obviously just scrape this with Claude as well. And then start asking Gemini questions. You're gonna see so many interesting things. There wasn't really a main point to this video. I just wanted to show you that you can now get all of this data readily available and you can break your own limiting beliefs that you might have around Upwork. If you think making money on Upwork is difficult, then look at this sheet and you realize it isn't. If you think you can't make money in your country, then look at the sheet and realize that that isn't the case. If you think your skill or niche or specific thing that you offer isn't working, go and find somebody else on this sheet that's already making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. And to be honest, this definitely changed my perspective on Upwork. And as soon as I realized that people were making millions of dollars a year on the platform, it definitely shifted my motivation and my expectation of Upwork. But anyway, I hope that's helpful. Again, the link for this sheet is in the description and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.